Usually when it comes to a competition, the better competitor wins. But tonight on Tuesday Night Titans, it all comes down to popularity. Thanks for tuning into another special episode of Tyler Vance Rants. I am your host, Tyler Vance himself, and you're not. It is November 27th, 1984. 2 weeks ago on Tuesday Night Titans, both Blackjack Mulligan and Mike Rotundo debuted in the World Wrestling Federation after leaving the NWA's Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling area. Captain Lou Albano provided priceless advice to both Rotundo and his tag team partner, Barry Windham, and David Sammartino revealed what it was like growing up the son of the living legend, Bruno Sammartino. Vince McMahon and Lord Awful Alfred Hayes once again host Tuesday Night Titans, and McMahon immediately pulls the trigger on the episode.
Her Majesty's answers to the Cabbage Patch doll, Lord Alfred Hayes.
Mr. USA Tony Atlas has recently returned to the WWF after a brief stint in the AWA, the American Wrestling Association, and he is this week's first guest on Tuesday Night Titans, heading out to the set with a briefcase in hand.
You looking well.
Thank you.
Beginning to question your vision.
I am loving all of the Lord Hayes hate this week. Keep it coming, Vinny. Within the briefcase that Atlas has brought with him are a collection of sketches that he's completed during his time away from the ring. And I'll admit, some of them are alright. These sketches range from Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan the Barbarian, Supergirl, and one of even Mr. T. What's important in the WWF, however, is not artistry. It's what you can accomplish within the squared circle. And so we get to see Gino Garabalo take on Tony Atlas one-on-one. A quick punch from Mr. USA sends Garabalo spiraling out of control and down to the mat. Despite his size, Tony Atlas is even able to employ a flying head scissors on his opponent, and moments later, Gino Garabalo is lifted up into a huge military press, which leads to a splash and an easy win for Mr. USA. Back in the TNT studio, Vince McMahon asks Tony Atlas if he could display his tremendous physique, which Mr. USA is only happy to oblige. Tony Atlas looks great, but someone that looks even better is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, who is Vince McMahon's next guest on TNT. And McMahon starts the interview off by stating that there has never been anyone in all of professional wrestling who's had as much arrogance as Paul Orndorff.
Well, thank you very much, because there's never been a person like Mr. Wonderful.
It's not arrogance, it's confidence, you mook. And he gets it by not hanging around ugly people such as yourself, and especially fatties like Lord Awful Alfred Hayes. Considering what Paul Orndorff just said, and considering that Mr. USA Tony Atlas was recently present on TNT, Vince McMahon wants to know what Orndorff feels about his fellow bodybuilder.
Who?
Mr. Atlas.
You mean that souped up spider monkey?
The important question that should be asked is why Mr. Wonderful is not receiving any WWF Championship opportunities, especially considering his tremendous in-ring results over this past year alone. Vince McMahon states that the piledriver is an incredibly dangerous move, and thus wants to know why Paul Orndorff has decided to use it as his finishing maneuver.
Because it hurts people.
You see, this all stems from the philosophy that Paul Orndorff received from his mother at a young age.
She said, son, if you want to do something, do it at anybody's expense.
Now that's raising your son right, if you ask me. Nearby, Mr. USA Tony Atlas has been sketching his vision of Paul Orndorff in one of the most offensive ways imaginable, while Vince McMahon plays distraction and asks Paul Orndorff what some of his talents are outside of the ring. Before he can go into what some of those talents are, Mr. Wonderful spots the hideous caricature and promptly destroys it. If that's how you see Paul Orndorff, Tony Atlas, not only are you blind as a bat, but you're as dumb as a mule to boot. Mr. Wonderful is so incensed over this whole debacle that he decides to hit Mr. USA where it hurts, stating fact when he announces that not only does he look better than the caricature drawn, but he looks better in real life than Tony Atlas.
How about a little pose down here, big boy? Huh? Let's check it. Let's see what you got.
You can compete all you want, Tony Atlas, but we all know that there is no competition when it comes to Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff's tremendous physique. Next up on Tuesday Night Titans, we transport ourselves to Café Rene, hosted by Rene Goulet and his wife Pierrette, while dancers come out and perform the can-can. And then we're treated to a magic show.
Here comes the white hanky.
Right out.
It's always magic when Rene Goulet steps into the ring, especially in the next match against Nick DeCarlo, which is joined in progress. Goulet is all over DeCarlo, even biting him in the corner, while the referee, who simply looks like some fan decided to hop into the ring and fill in for the night, looks on in horror. Rene Goulet continues to remain in control, even biting Nick DeCarlo's midsection in the opposite corner before latching the claw onto him and securing an easy win. Once we rejoin the Tuesday Night Titans studio, both Rene Goulet and his wife Pierrette provide some French cuisine to both Vince McMahon and Lord Awful Alfred Hayes in the form of a crepe Suzette. However, before we're able to even enjoy it, we're shown another singles match joined in progress. This time, Rocky Johnson takes on Moondog's Spot. The Moondog tries to slam Johnson's head in the corner turnbuckle. However, it doesn't seem to even faze the hard head of Rocky, who returns the favor in kind to his opponent. Spot fights back and is even able to latch a headlock onto Rocky Johnson, who's about to lose consciousness before Johnson is able to snap back into reality just as the referee seems like he's about to call the match off. Moondog's Spot goes up to the second rope and misses the subsequent knee drop, prompting Rocky Johnson to attempt to body slam his opponent. However, he's still suffering from a state of weakness following that aforementioned headlock, and instead falls over, providing a near fall for the Moondog. Spot then goes up to the second rope again, and this time misses an elbow drop, prompting Rocky Johnson to gain control of the match again, getting his own near fall following a headbutt. However, the 3 count soon follows as Johnson hits a sunset flip on his opponent. The spoiler is Vince McMahon's next guest on Tuesday Night Titans Studio, and McMahon wants to know why the man wears a mask. It's to maintain an aura of mystery, and to keep his opponents guessing inside the ring, considering they can't read his facial expressions. Mind games, McMahon! Mind games! The masked man is known to break the rules within the squared circle, something that Vince McMahon takes issue with, especially considering the naturally athletic ability that the spoiler possesses, and thus really doesn't have to break the rules to win matches.
It's winner at any cost. Take no prisoners.
A point that the spoiler proves as he takes on Billy Travis in the next singles match. The spoiler immediately strangles Travis with the ring ropes, and then kicks him, almost decapitating his opponent in the process. From there, the masked man absolutely dismantles Billy, throwing him neck first across the top ring rope before tossing him outside of the ring like a piece of crap. As Billy Travis tries to get back inside the ring, the spoiler drops a fist down onto the back of his neck, and then brings him over to the corner, trying to walk the ropes. However, the spoiler trips. This allows Billy Travis to gain a momentary advantage over his opponent, and even hits the spoiler with a dropkick before he's thrown outside of the ring and down onto the floor yet again. As Billy emerges back into the squared circle a second time, this time the spoiler latches the claw onto his opponent and gets the win. To wrap up Tuesday Night Titans, the pose down between Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff and Mr. USA Tony Atlas takes place within Café Rene. And like I said, Orndorff is the clear winner. However, Vince McMahon decides to leave it up to the audience. Boo! Boo! He's hideous! Get him out of here! Yes! Yes! Paul Orndorff! Orndorff! Orndorff!
Mr. Wonderful. Tony Atlas.
Outrageous! Of course the idiots in the crowd would choose a loser like Tony Atlas. This had nothing to do with physiques and everything to do with popularity, and you know it, McMahon. I'm not surprised that Paul Orndorff decided to take matters into his own hands. That'll show you, Tony Atlas. Popularity, thankfully, doesn't win matches. I guarantee you that if Tony Atlas were to step inside the ring like a man and face off against Paul Orndorff one-on-one, even if all the crowds in the entire world were solidly behind Mr. USA, it would only result in him being beaten down to a bloody pulp by the superior athlete that is Mr. Wonderful. But what do you think? Were the animals in the crowd right to award the pose down to Mr. USA Tony Atlas? Or are you like me and think that Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff was robbed? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for tuning in to another special episode of Tyler Vance Rants. Don't forget to demonstrate your own physicality by hitting the bell, liking the video, and subscribing. You can also win all the popularity contests in the world by following me on social media. You'll be the envy of your friends. Believe me. That's all for now. So long. What's important in the WWF, however, is not, something that McMahon takes issue with, considering that,